Man, what's shaking? This is Matty Crypto. This is the Pulsechain Podcast, episode number 6. We're going to cover a bunch of stuff, getting hacked, security, health, fitness, even some drug stuff we're going to jump into. But this is going to be fun. So it's my pleasure to bring in Crypto Gym Rat and HEX Luthor. How's it going, fellas? Thanks for joining us.
What's up, Matty Crypto? Thanks for having me, man.
This is going to be fun. I'm telling you guys outside in the green room that this is a relaxed podcast. I want people to come in as family and talk about things, real life things, what they're going through, their experience with crypto. So you guys, Jim Rat in particular, I was talking to him for, I don't know, probably 2 weeks or so. And you're everywhere, dude. Just over the last week or so, I caught you on Valiant Brand. I caught you on Whales and Papa B. And a lot of the stuff you're going through is really relevant to a lot of people who are new to crypto or don't understand that. So I would love to hear from you more about your crypto story. You know, when did you first hear about crypto? Where were you? Who told you about it? And how did it happen for you?
I mean, I heard about crypto back in 21, 22 years old. I'm 28 years old now, but it just whispers, you know. I think I downloaded like a Coinbase app and started looking at like Litecoin prices, like just the price, like 3 main things. I was like, that's cool. I never knew what it was. A couple of years go by, I just was dating girls, not really caring about finance, doing whatever I really kind of just vibing. And, you know, it came to me one day. I was like, okay, you know, this seems like the future now. Bitcoin went up to 20,000 or whatever. Like, let's do the math here. I started doing a little quick math in my gym rat little brain. And I started thinking about lots of X's. And then I started thinking about, I heard about that. You know, it would have been funny if I had a few $100s at the time. Anyway, let that go by. Then comes paid course. So I guess I am grateful for paid courses in a way. Because, I mean, they shielded me to other stuff, which made me eventually come back to HEX. And, you know, everyone's just trying to make a living, dude. You know, I get it. Not everyone's from the same upbringing. Not everyone has the same moral standards because of what their families have. Not saying people with bad families can't have amazing moral standards, but sometimes negative effects occur. And I happen to have a great family unit, you know, like I had some good things in my head long term, but, you know, so I wanted to do better, and I started dabbling in the self-care thing and the self-help thing, read every self-help book, ended up reading Sci-Vibe without even knowing who Richard Hart was. You know, I was picking around at it. There was some programming and all that stuff I didn't care about. But, like, I mean, all the little computer stuff and the time efficiency stuff, I didn't care. I wanted to get to the meat and bones, like where are the girls, what is this stuff. I didn't know who he was, though. Then I mentioned Bitcoin mining, and then Cultivate Crypto, the Cultivate Crypto show, which is a great, I'll say this right now, everyone thinks I hate these people, but I just say the truth. I don't hate anyone. Great show, great knowledge, and I found out a lot of stuff there. They told me not to buy HEX at the free claim. And I will forever be resentful about that. Not because of me. I don't care about my bags, dude. I just lost a bunch of money. I could give a fuck. It has nothing to do about money to me. It's a very principle-related. Like, I have principle-related things that, in a lot of that, Richard Hart brought to my attention. And now I realize why certain things are bad. Maybe he was just the smarter guy that had to explain it out to a lot of us. Like, I knew certain things were bad morally, but I didn't really know why. And when I found these guys, and I found HEX, and I found the FUD, you know, FUD brings you to the gold if you're a smart guy. Like, you follow the FUD, man. Like, and you can find some weird stuff. You know, like, follow the FUD in politics. You'll find some weird stuff.
It's a deep rabbit hole. Did you get into Bitcoin first? Was that your first?
I bought Bitcoin at $3,400 at the COVID-19 bottom. Luckiest.
That was your first crypto buy.
First crypto buy ever. Bitcoin, $3,400. I think I bought 1.7 Bitcoin at the time. Throughout, I dollar costed average to like 4,700 or whatever. But it was right at the bottom, ping up. And just because they were telling me this is a good opportunity if you've never been in before, and I said, okay, screw it. Happened to ping the bottom. I was like, whatever. Went to 57,000. Never looked at my Coinbase once, ever. No. Never looked at it.
I bet that felt
Didn't
good.
care. I didn't care. I literally am so one-track minded as an individual that I could care less about $75,000 in my account. And because I was like doing whatever social experiments I was doing at the time, you know, like I was just doing what I loved at that moment. And I did not love Bitcoin. I loved whatever I was doing in that moment, whether it was bodybuilding, whatever. I'm just one track minded, and I think I'll be on HEX till the rest of my life. But anyway, but yeah, so I found Bitcoin, wrote it to 57,000, found Richard Hart, 57,000 on the way down. So it hit 65, went to 57. And then Richard Hart started saying, like, all his stuff was coming true. It seemed like the trap happened. It was heading down. I said, you know what? Motley got on stream, and I was watching Dollar Cost Crypto. All these guys, there was a little meshing between the HEX community and the paid group community. There is a little mesh there. And I finally found my way. Motley said, hey, if you don't buy it 1.19, no, it was 0.019 at the time, May 1st, if I remember.
Wow.
May 1st or something like that. And I bought $1,000 worth. And what's that at the time? Roughly like 75,000. You know, just like a normal buy at the time. I can't remember what it was. Maybe it was 50,000 for like $2,000 or something. I don't know what it was. But anyway,
it's hard.
I got 100,000 out of it for like very little money, and I just was chilling, you know. And then I found out about staking, and I posted on Twitter. I said, just a normal kid, literally normal kid. Hey guys, I did my first 555 stake today. Got so many retweets. It's just like an absorbent amount. I literally was on Twitter for like 7 days and just like, I hope I can learn crypto on here. And then I blow up,
flood
get
of
like
love
600 followers in like a week. And then I'm like, cool. My follower ratio is crazy. I have nothing to do. But my content is kind of funny on Twitter. I keep going at it.
So how about you, Luthor? What was your first experience to crypto?
It was, well, I heard about Bitcoin when Bitcoin was around $50. I don't know when that was. And I had the opportunity to buy then and there, but I didn't do any research. I just thought, whatever, I'm not going to think about it. Didn't really have the money to invest other than what I was already doing with, you know, the 401k and stuff. So time went by, Bitcoin hit the 13K top or something like that back in 2015-ish, I think. I think it was 2015, because that's about the same time I was starting my own entrepreneur path. And I had a business up and running with some partners, and we decided to go full bore into a mining setup. And we dropped 20 grand on like a mining rig, got it set up in like our little shop area, had that up and running, but then we found out that, you know, you got to pay for the electricity and it gets expensive. And from there, Bitcoin just started to continue to dump. Like we got in right at the top, right?
Yeah, it sucks.
And yeah, it was really bad.
How did you find HEX?
So while we were,
I was
what's
just
that?
curious how you found HEX from.
Oh, how I found HEX? Well, after all that, I got out of crypto, got out of mining. It wasn't profitable anymore. Years went by, and I didn't even touch crypto, didn't look at crypto until March of 2020 I think. I heard about Dogecoin. So I got into that. Luckily, I just dumped my bags right, you know, around 50 cents. Made a little profit and then got out because seeing what happened to that, I was like, you know, this isn't what I'm looking for either. Started researching on YouTube, just self-improvement stuff again, trying to keep my life going in the direction that I wanted it to go. And I didn't want to, you know, keep sliding downhill or go slide downhill. So somebody on the Fresh and Fit podcast, I think it was Cultivate Crypto, right? They came on and they were talking about the top 3 coins you should look into. They talked about Bitcoin, Ethereum, and then they mentioned HEX. And that was Dollar Cost Crypto who mentioned that, right? So I looked into all those 3, didn't want anything to do with Bitcoin. I don't know, just with my mining thing in the past, I didn't care for it. Bought some Ethereum, and then I looked at HEX, and I wished I didn't buy any Ethereum. As soon as I understood that part of the kind of equation, I read through the whole website. It was about maybe 9-10 months ago. And immediately I was all in. And it didn't click until after I started watching Whales tell me about T-shares.
Oh, yeah.
And when I understood the T-shares, then it was like the light went off. And this is, I made the right decision. I'm glad I just
I think my
jumped
first
in.
episode of this podcast was all about T-shares. I had on K4K Crypto and Crypto Heartbeat. And we focused on that because I wanted the first episode to be about the most important thing about HEX. This is already the greatest crypto that I've been a part of. And like I said, I've been around it for 10 years. It's really something special. But T-shares, like you're talking about, that is the secret, man. The secret sauce of HEX is T-shares. And people that don't understand HEX, they have to go to YouTube, look up a bunch of articles, just search for T shares, because soon, it's so funny, we're going to be talking about B shares and M shares, and probably one day in the next 2 or 3 years, it'll just be shares. Everybody's going to be talking about shares because it's too hard to get a billion shares, or God forbid a trillion. And they're going to look back at videos like this where you can get a trillion shares for 20,000 HEX. But man, I remember people talking about HEX. You can get 1 trillion shares, 1 T share for 60 cents. That is nuts. And I know you guys may not have been really, really early to it when it first started, but when the adoption amplifier was out, I remember when Ethereum was about $100 and $125, and there were days in the adoption amplifier, that 350, 60 days, every single day you could go in there, you could put Ethereum in, and there were days that you could get over 1 million HEX for $125 USD. So that is just nuts to think about that. And people
nuts.
Still FUD this thing.
I don't want to think about
Isn't
it.
it crazy?
I don't want to think about it.
My first YouTube video about HEX was day one. I FOMO'd into it. Richard Hart told us not to FOMO hard in day one, but it was a part of me that wanted to wear that badge. I wanted to tell people forever that I got in day one. I bought day one. I bought way too big of a bag. Not big. It wasn't like thousands of dollars. It was small for me, a couple $100. But at the time, it was a lot. And I didn't get a lot of HEX at the time. But it's all relative. I thought getting just a few thousand HEX, like, man, this is incredible. And then 2 weeks later, a month later, 1 Ethereum, $125 got you 1.3 million HEX. And to think you could have got that is just, it's so silly to think about that looking back now. But, you know, the true thing about hindsight 2020 relates to HEX in a really big way when you look back and think that you could have got that much economic energy for that cheap of a price. I'm just curious, what is y'all's entry point for HEX? What did y'all pay the first time you bought HEX?
Right under 2 pennies.
How about you, Luthor?
I got in right when it was around 12 cents. So right after it ran up to 19, 20 cent top and then came back down.
It's funny. I tell.
So right during the pulse sacrifice.
I tell people about looking back in time, looking back on videos. I look back at lots of different videos on Ethereum and Bitcoin and things about Satoshi. And I was introduced, I need to make a podcast about this, honestly. When I was introduced to cryptocurrency, it was only Bitcoin. And it was 2010. It was like the summer or the winter of 2010. And a buddy of mine at work told me about this Bitcoin thing. You gotta get this Bitcoin. And I remember thinking, what is it? He's like, it's kind of like this internet kind of money, and it's on this blockchain thing. He didn't explain it very well, but he told me put $100 or $500, whatever you can afford right now, buy some Bitcoin and forget about it for years. And that is my biggest regret, other than going hard into HEX, is not taking his advice, just taking a chance on Bitcoin. My God, if it was a fraction of a penny, then I always look back as that learning curve.
What was the sentiment? If you can really dig deep and put yourself in that moment, like where you started to learn, like maybe like having some revelations like you were now, like maybe before you bought, but you were starting to like peek into it. What was the sentiment like that back then? Was it just complete FUD, or was it just like total nerd, like Omega nerd had to, only Omega nerds knew it?
That's exactly the thing it was for me. To me, when I heard about it and he explained it, it's like a 5-minute elevator pitch. It sounded like internet nerd money. It was this code. I was like, well, nobody's ever going to have this. It's like a novelty.
That's what I thought.
Really nerd money, and it's going to be played in games, and people are going to say, I got a Bitcoin. And when I first heard about it, I thought it was a physical thing, like a gold, like a 1 ounce gold. I didn't know what it was. And then he told me, the advice was great. He said, I don't understand it completely, but I know it's going to be a really big deal, because he read a bunch of stuff from Satoshi. He was on Reddit and stuff. And I worked with him for almost a year, and I never got into Bitcoin. And I don't remember like his info. I need to reach out to this guy, because I can go back to the place I worked and try to find this guy. I would love to know how much Bitcoin he has now, because it's like HEX. When you buy any crypto, Bitcoin especially, when you buy it a fraction of a penny, or even a penny or 10 cents, it is really hard to hold something you bought for a fraction of a penny and watch that thing go to $1, $10, $100. So he may have some Bitcoin still because he was in it early, but you're going to sell that stuff. Like when HEX hits 50 cents again, or $1, or God forbid, $10 or so, people are going to sell. A lot of people are going to sell. But if HEX goes to 100, we're going to look back the same way I looked at him. Like, man, you just don't know what you don't know. So you're going to take profit, and that's a good thing. But I really regret not doing that because it was a great thing and I should have listened to him better. Like I said, I'll do a better podcast on that exclusively. Just when people hear about Hex and Richard Hart, it's the perfect example of don't do anything until you really listen to this guy. Because when I first learned about Hex, it was called Bitcoin Hex. It was in, I don't know, like a year before this thing went live. It was delayed a few times. And it was so overwhelming to me. On the website, it was all these intricate things, silly whale penalties and lots of stuff. Just boom, 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 game theory and stuff, tokenomics. And I knew it was going to be great because Richard Hart was this super smart dude. And he was smart on a level of a lot of things, not just crypto, but finance. And like you were mentioning, Jim Rat, about Survive. The book is fantastic. It teaches you a lot of stuff. So that opened my eyes to a lot of stuff. If this guy was going to create something and was going to delay it until it was perfect, I knew I wanted to get in right away. And my only regret, like so many people, is not going in harder. But we're still early to making this video, early 2022. We are still early to Hex. It hasn't even gone to the Pulsechain. So it's crazy, man. The opportunities we have in this are better than any time in my lifetime.
I always think about that statement when people say, I should have put more into this. And it's true, obviously, like physically, everyone would. I mean, I wish that too. But it's like, there is an ignorant way to do things too. Like if you put in max money, the habits you develop when you're investing are what make or break you. So it's like that idea to like put in 200 instead of maybe 5,000 when you were running thin and your kids were like, maybe had sports and shit, or I don't know the scenario, of course, like everyone has to pay for things. And then you like reverse it and you're like sketched on money and you're like, maybe this isn't a good idea. And then, like that transfer, like you have to put in the amount of money where you sleep at night, just like you would if it weren't there. Like that's how I feel personally, although I'm a single guy who doesn't have any bills and people pay to live here and I don't have to pay for my house and I don't have much to pay for. So it's easy for me to say, I guess, but like it's crazy, like the habits you develop. And I really learned it from that Bitcoin. Everyone says the same thing. I tell people, how many people want to hurt themselves permanently because they sold at $100 and they did a 1,000x or a 10,000x? At Bitcoin, like imagine if you sold your whole bag and you made $1 million, and then this 10 years goes by, and you're like,
There's a classic video. It's this black guy that's on YouTube. It's a classic video of him selling all of his Hex. I'm sure he sold it, but it's a few pennies, and that's a.
Oh yeah, that's the one where he goes, I wish I didn't. I sold my Hex.
It's painful, man. It's so painful because it's a really good testament. If you own Hex, any crypto, don't sell all your crypto at one time. It's really, really important. I even own some shit. I don't believe in the utility behind it. It truly is a meme coin. It's a joke of a joke, and it's funny and silly. But sometimes you invest in something that's silly just to watch it. There's a fun aspect of investing in different crypto just for the fun aspect of looking back in time and seeing how it goes. But nothing has the utility, the use case, the community of Hex. It's so refreshing to look at Hex as what it's become in 2 years and how many people have called it scam, and then they're suddenly silent right now. There's a few people that still call it a scam. And I just love how Richard Hart shoots that stuff down, and the community has grown so much. We have, probably hundreds of millionaires by now. And the future is so bright. This guy, I say this all the time. Richard Hart was a multimillionaire in his 20s, early 20s. He doesn't need Hex to be $100 and then dump on our heads. The guy has so many other investments and so much other crypto that he can spend. He can't even spend his money. So the idea of him doing some kind of imaginary rug pull or exit scam, he's in this for his legacy. He wants to have that lure around him of being a good person, because I think at his heart, even though he's rough around the edges, and he can say some weird stuff, he's got a little potty mouth, he means what he says, and he really wants to help people. And people go through a lot of crap in their life. It's a lot of ups and downs. Me personally, I suffer with chronic, crazy migraines since I was about 8 years old, and they're debilitating. They're just brutal. It takes me out of the whole day. And to think of people going through issues like that, like you with Crypto Jim Rat, you said publicly that you went through some serious drug issues, and we talked off air, and I asked you, got your permission to speak about that. This would be a good segue to that. I want to know a little more in depth. I think it's a good lesson for people to hear. Your story had some pretty dark sides in it. I heard you just the last week talking to a couple of people, Elliot Brand and Wales and Papa, and you touched on the drug issues, and it was pretty bad where you were living in some pretty shady places and at a young age. Can you share some of that so people can kind of relate to that?
Yeah, so the one thing that I bring to the table with that kind of stuff, which I love, is the honesty that's accepted around. Honesty is accepted around here. Most people won't. You got to learn how to talk that language, and I learned a lot of that in the recovery community. Like, a lot of them taught me, like, to be transparent, open up, be like that. But anyway, when I was young, like, I'm just a wild motherfucker. I'm still a wild motherfucker. I promise you. Like, I'm tame now. Like, I'm a happy dude, and I don't like to do crazy stuff. But my brain is crazy. Like, I can guarantee you that I'll be up at 3 o'clock tomorrow morning learning how to edit videos. Like, and I'll do it every day for the rest of my life. I wouldn't care. Like,
text me if you
but
need
you know
help.
what I mean?
I'll
Like,
probably
when
be
you just love it, like, there's nothing I'd rather do. There's nothing I would rather not sleep.
Yes.
I would rather not speak to my, someone, like, but obviously there's people in my life that support me and they're totally there for me and stuff, of course. But at the same time, so when I was young, I was a popular, outgoing, happy kid, lots of sports. And, I just everyone in my family's a drug addict. You know what I mean? Like, they're not all hardcore drug addicts, like, on the street, but, if you look in their purse or in their cabinet, a lot of my uncles and aunts and grandparents had a lot of alcohol and drug issues. So it's like, it's not like a big puzzle finding where I'm at. Like, I knew real early. I was a smart kid back then. I remember smoking a cigarette in the woods, 13 years old, smoking a cigarette, never smoked weed, maybe I drank and smoked weed a little bit, but like, maybe earlier than that, like at 11, like I had never really experimented yet. And I was smoking a cig and I was like, I'm an addict. Like, I knew right away I wanted another one, like right away. No, like, I just knew, joking. Like, internally,
you
I was like,
right
something
away.
made me feel different, immediately connected to a part of me that I needed healing. Like, something inside of me
That's
felt
interesting.
right because I was doing something that I wasn't focused on for the first time, my presence as a human, And that's what a lot of addicts struggle with. They have this very hard brain that really hard on themselves, constantly moving, always lots of variables, and numbing it with drugs is a way to just calm it down. It's really a calming down mechanism. But at the same time, like, I was smart. Like, I was like, I don't want to get in trouble, right? You don't want to go to jail when you're a teenager, you're thinking. But then I started doing mushrooms and shit, and then it was over because I was tripping, running around the streets, partying, acid, harder drugs get involved. Then I go to college for like a month, 2 months, 3 months, and I'm just like drinking and driving every night, taking Adderall to wake up, doing a little blow just to get started for the thing. People think drug addict is like I'm smoking meth and a thing, but it's progressive, it's slow, it's daunting, it grabs you, it grips you, it gets inside of you. Slowly. It's slow.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that cigarette just like I think now. Like, in my head, I remember that moment. And remember the first time I smoked weed was the single most impactful moment in my entire life. And if you ask someone who is not an addict, the first time they smoked weed, they were like, we giggled a little. But if you ask an addict, you know what they'll say? It was the most impactful moment of my entire life. That was the first day I ever felt like I could breathe. And that's legit what they say. I've been in recovery for years. So I really related to a lot of these people. Anyway, I'm a little bit of a biohacker nut now, so I'm not sober. Sobriety is not in my game anymore, but it's different now. I've channeled my energy in a different way, and it's not for everyone. But at the same time, I did the bad things, I did the drugs, and I got in trouble bad, jail trouble bad. Nothing.
And you were in like houses, like.
Well, I went there.
Safe
You go there voluntarily
with
when you get in trouble because you're sketched that you'll get arrested. So when you're
right.
sketched, you get arrested. You say, "Mr. Lawyer, what do I do?" And in fact, I was 18 years old. I didn't want to go to rehab, sir. But the lawyer was like, "Chop chop, like, get your ass there." My parents were willing to pay for it, and I was kind of like, "Okay, like, I'm going." And then, you know what? I had a conversation just like I had with you guys, like, for the first time in my life. I sat down and I talked to, like, after I got arrested a couple times, went to jail for a couple days, court cases for months. And, I had an honest conversation with someone, and I was just like, I want to do things right. I want to see what it's like to do things right. I want to try it. It's been 5 years. I've done the same thing over and over. And I stayed sober from 18 to 26. And
that's a long stretch, man.
Never drank, never smoked weed, just never did steroids, never did anything, just worked out. Hit on chicks. I mean, chicks weren't really about me back then either. Like, I was straight up working on myself for 6 years straight while everyone else was partying. Everyone in that age bracket was partying, and I was in a halfway house reading books. Like,
That's rough, dude.
but you know what I mean? I went from like party boy, lacrosse player, drug addict to like, I already had a taste of that life.
Super
I already
Chad
had a
mode.
taste of that
Yeah.
life, and I knew where those guys were headed, and I saw the aftermath. And I said, let me just hold on for a second and go into neutral mode in this halfway house. Let me sink into the existence real quick. And then I came back out, and, you know, I was ready to start dominating again. But now I'm very open in a different way about drugs. I really advocate for people, and for everyone that was wondering, I was in a halfway house with 12 men, 12 grown men, jailed men, heroin addicts for 2 years, a normal family 3 house, bunk beds to each room, 4 people, 2 years. And I don't care what anyone says. I was 18 years old. And I had a, you know, like, it was hard. My girlfriend at the time, my friends, everyone didn't speak to me, everything gone. I did a lot of things, nothing personally. I didn't personally attack anyone. It was more like public, you know, like maybe some car theft and like stuff like that more so. Like nothing, I wasn't like stabbing people up. Like I was just like, you know, being a petty little esser. But you get in trouble for that stuff, especially when you're drinking and driving. They don't like that.
Yeah, it's funny because you surround yourself with bad people, they do bad things, and you try those things. It's just tough, man, because your influences are a really big deal. It's like people that grow up in a single-family home, you only got your mother around, and you go on the streets, and all the cool kids that you think are cool when you're so young, they're doing drugs. They're selling drugs. They're doing bad things. They got money. They got good clothes, good shoes. It's very appealing. So it's really tough. You got to break that narrative to what is cool, who do you look up to, what's important to your life. I say this all the time, that you have to surround yourself with really, really good people. And you know innately who is good and who's not. And it brings us full circle back to Richard Hart. And I'll touch on this in a second in the podcast here in depth, that the community we have and what he's built, it's such an organic thing. It's almost like he doesn't have his hands on a lot of the things that we're doing. The HEX Pulse community, they're creating these things. They're creating good things without Richard being involved at all. This guy, God forbid, a guy could die or just go away forever, kind of like a Satoshi thing. You don't hear about him, or he just loses interest in the project or whatever. HEX is going to go on forever. It's an immutable contract, no admin keys. You cannot stop this. So that's one of the beautiful things about this, is he granted us with this really impressive gift that's HEX and now Pulsechain. Once Pulsechain launches, if it goes smoothly, which I think it will, it's not going to launch something that's a bad product. I think so much economic energy from other cryptos, especially when you get that other pair, they're going to come to Pulsechain, man. I'm so disgusted with these HEX fees from the Ethereum blockchain, these miners.
Yeah, there's no reason not to go to Pulse once Pulse launches. And people will see that. I think they will see that very quickly with the largest free airdrop in the world happening. There's going to be a lot of new people just going, oh, there's something in my wallet. Oh, I just switched this network. Okay, done. What? Penny fees? Okay.
Yeah. Imagine being used to, like,
it's going to be huge.
I'm in the stake right now. I've got, I think, 4 or 5 stakes that are ended. They're ready for me to end those and mint my HEX. I can't do it. There's a few of them, maybe 2 or 3 out of the 5. It costs me more in gas fees than I would get back in HEX. It's so crazy. So it's just bleeding 1% every week. You know, it's just nuts, man. I can't wait to go to Pulsechain and get these, penny, even fraction of a penny transaction fees, because I've got so used to this ridiculous Ethereum fees that buddies and I, we talk and we joke all the time. You'll do a transaction or send ERC20 tokens and it costs you $10 or $20. You're like, oh, it's so cheap. $20 for a transaction fee seems cheap. And it's just such a shame.
What other industry is that okay? Like, what other industry other than the banking industry, I guess, because that's kind of a monopoly. Like, you're kind of stuck.
But even then, they don't charge you that much.
I'm a turtle. And I know it doesn't matter. Like, volume's not directly proportional. It has to do with Gwei as well. But, like, I'm a turtle, and I'm paying $200 for swaps, $300 for swaps. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's like, that's not okay. I'm working my ass off over here. I'm talking for everyone in the room. I'm working my ass off over here, getting fleeced out here, coming in here, injecting money, getting fleeced, and then finally making it to some promised land where obviously we all get rich. But like, that buy wall is ridiculous. It is insane. And imagine a fiat on-ramp. Over. Game over. Game over.
That's going to be huge.
Yep. Yep.
Imagine
that
a fiat
out.
on-ramp to
Figures out a way to do
Pulsechain. Like, ugh.
Yeah, we don't have to go anywhere.
Giggity.
I tell new people that they're like, what do you need to with crypto?
Start pulsing.
Talk about, and I like a lot of other cryptos, but the bread and butter, we don't have to go anywhere. If he can fix this fiat on ramp and a couple other things, you can go to the Pulsechain ecosystem and you can do everything. You never have to go anywhere else. And it's absolutely beautiful to know that one place is going to provide everything that you need in a completely decentralized way. I want to change topics here just for a second. Jim Rat, you were on talking the last few days with a few people about this hack situation you were in, and this is really important. I don't know if there's something else that could be more important than security. I talk about in previous podcasts about the community of HEX being the most important thing, but if you don't have your security all shored up, it's really difficult for anything else to be more important than that. So this hack situation you recently went through, it was brutal listening to you with Wales and Papa B on that stream a couple of days ago, dude. Giving your keys to your secretary, a hardware wallet from Amazon, everything on your phone. I was listening to it real time going, oh my God, no.
And
I think everyone was doing that. Everyone was going, oh, yeah. Even my wife was sitting in the background listening.
It's
going,
so crazy.
oh, no.
People listen, like, this is like the transition. A lot of these things happened a long time ago. That's what nobody was really, like, I was trying to be a little dramatic and fun.
Well,
no,
you're not alone.
I was trying
you're
to
not
be
alone.
a little cutesy too by saying like, oh, I did this, I did that, which I all did those things. But at the same time, there's a little firewall with HEX, right? Like that little area where you don't know enough, but you're going to buy anyway because you're just shilled and it's just happened. It's happening. You cannot set up security
I was there. I
properly
remember
because
that.
you don't understand the nuance of security.
Yeah, you don't know what you don't know.
Nope. And then when they tell you about security, you kind of blow it off and go, well, I'll do it later. Because I just want to get in. I only have a couple $100 or $3,000 or whatever it is, and you're thinking, okay, I'll just see how this goes, and then I'll get the ledger or Trezor later.
But for people who didn't hear that,
and then time goes on, and you forget about it.
I'm just curious if people who didn't hear that conversation of previous videos, about the hack that you had, elaborate on that a bit. What exactly happened? How did you know you were hacked?
Well, it was crazy because it was right after Valiant Brand. It was right. It happened before Valiant Brand, but I didn't check until after Valiant Brand. So it actually happened that morning, 9:06 a.m. And I still don't know how it happened. I'm still, I don't really write my brain about it, but I have stakes. by the way.
Well, like Wales said, you were Swiss cheese on your
stakes
OPSEC.
off of that wallet. Like, I need to find that out. Like, I mean, I got Hexo asking Richard if he can send me my Pulse to a different wallet for my SAC, but I did a pool for the other SAC, so I actually get that because they can send it individually.
That's amazing.
Dude,
I'm so glad,
I went so heavy Pulse X, and I in the 2.5x multiplier with my biggest bag. So I'm like, oh my God, I'll get it free and secure because that was because I learned about the pools and I trusted Motley because we're buddies in real life. And so I was like, okay, I'll put mine in there. And they just said it was a good opportunity for us, and I did it, and I'm like, my saving grace, because a lot of people were like on the fence about it, but I'm like, thank God. And, I have stakes that are compromised, but, if there's a hacker that actually knows me well enough that he could follow me in any way, like he knows my stakes are compromised. So, it probably.
I wish there was a way in MetaMask.
Well, yeah, because I did the stakes the third day that I ever had HEX. I didn't know jack shit. The third day I had HEX. Richard, listen to me. Please clip this out. Richard, listen to me. The third day that I had HEX, I did not know a damn thing about what I was doing. I gave my MetaMask to my secretary. I didn't know a thing about crypto. I didn't know a thing about security. I was doing QuickBooks with an assistant and a secretary. And that's all I did. And my people are very nice, they're very sweet. So I just, went with the flow, sent it to my secretary. 3 days later, I'm staking on Hex.com because I'm excited and, I'm getting into this stuff. And I'm throwing out 1 year stakes, 10-year stakes, 15-year stakes, 2-year stakes, little ones, big ones. At the time, it was little, but, it gets bigger over time. And now I'm stuck with it was compromised the moment I made the account because I didn't know what I didn't know. And I'm not saying this is anyone's fault but my own. Of course, I don't even care, really. I am so passionate beyond money, it's disgusting. But at the same time, you know, our bags are bags. Like, you got to protect them. Well, and no,
Yeah, it's
when
gotta
I'm
hurt.
saying
I
I'm
mean,
that
you can only
excited where it
imagine.
didn't
The gut
hurt,
punch
like, I'm
that
that
you must have
excited where
felt
it didn't
and-
hurt. Like, I've been so broke for so long, I don't even know what it's like. Like, I don't even
And it's
care.
important for people to hear this.
I've already prepared for broke mode for 5 more years.
That's
I've
true.
prepared for broke mode for 5 more years,
Sorry.
and then I'm going to be the richest mother effer that anyone knows in this area, and I'm going to make a huge impact physically in my area. Like, physically,
Good.
like on
And
ground.
that's important because people go into crypto, not just Hex related, but crypto stuff in general. And you may use a Robinhood app, and you may hear about Dogecoin or whatever. You buy that stuff, you put it. Who knows where that is? It's not your keys. You don't have your crypto. You don't know anything about anything. You just go in with what someone told you, a friend or a news article or whatever's high right now as far as the hype on YouTube or Twitter or Instagram or whatever you follow. You may get into something and not know anything about crypto. So security to people who have known about this for a long time, who have been engaged, we understand this, but we started somewhere too. I got into a lot of different cryptos that I didn't have anything secure. Thank God it was saved, and I saved myself by moving to other wallets and stuff. But it's difficult, and it's so important because people may buy Hex right now for 21 cents, what it's going for right now, and then it's $1 or $2, and then you look back, you're like, did I compromise my seed words? Did I save it somewhere? Did I share it in a note? Did I save it? Those things are really
What
important.
percentage,
So
if you had to guess, of people when they make their original account compromise it immediately?
Oh my God!
Probably 90 on your first at your first
At
account.
least.
So let's talk about
At
that
least.
right there. And
It's the majority.
if
for
I'm
sure.
involved in any channel in the future, I'm going to make that a priority.
Yep.
Find that early space where people are and inject myself into it. No, maybe not myself.
It has to be the first conversation almost. But then, in a way, you could turn somebody off by talking about that too much. When they know nothing about crypto, you could overwhelm them with how secure they have to be. So I've found with my own onboards, there's a balance between making them feel how important it is to be secure and stay secure, at the same time keeping them excited about learning about, you know, the Hex or Pulsechain or
It's scary.
Pulsechain. So there's a balance you have to learn, but you go through that as you. I know there's always a stress of security you have to just inject into your conversations.
Yeah, it's important because you don't really think about it when you first get in. And if someone like you're talking about, the first introduction to crypto, if they talk about Hex or Bitcoin or whatever, and they immediately bombard you with, you got to get a Trezor or a Ledger, you got to get a hardware wallet, you got to save these seeds, you got to put it somewhere safe where it's not going to be on a piece of paper, and you can't save it anywhere, and you can't tell anybody. When you really stress all the stuff that truly is real, that people need to learn about, it's so overwhelming and so scary that people walk away from crypto like, dude, this is way too complicated. I'm not going to do it. What is all this staking stuff? You know, these rewards, and I got to end stake. It's too much for normal people to grab at the first bite. But if you set up a MetaMask and you don't secure that, and you put your seed words to a friend, or you save it on your computer somewhere, you take a picture of it, or you put it in the safe in your home, it's just not enough. So it's a catch-22 thing. You got to tell people about security and really harness that as that first priority. And thank God, Papa B and those guys are doing an entire series on just security, on how to secure this on a step-by-step. He calls it soup to nuts. And it's really important.
Where does he
I'm going to
present
try to
that?
link that. It's on YouTube.
Okay.
The Magic
Yeah,
Carpet Ride
man,
channel,
it's
right?
so important.
Yep, I went and
Let me
watched
make
that the
sure.
other day when I set up my my new
Because
ledger.
all this stuff always seems too good to be true, no matter what crypto you in. Because crypto just goes up. It's the highest appreciated asset ever, and Hex just happens to be the best product out of all the best things. And it's a good segue because I talk to people for the first time about Hex, and I mention 38% APY or 1,000,000% up in 2 years. They look at me with this glazed face, like this has to be a scam. It's almost like the success that we've had with Hex is so good that it's hard to market without sounding too good to be true. The product has performed on every single level. Do you guys have those issues when you introduce people in that first conversation about Hex? Like, this is just too good to be true, I'm not going to do it.
Not everyone, but there are some people. Like I had one on board for months. He kept telling me it's a scam. Then he finally told me to stop talking about it. A month or two later, he admits that he got in and didn't want to tell me. and that he had staked, and then he had staked another, X amount that was larger than the first one, and now he's sold. But it took him months just to sit on it and sleep on it. It was frustrating, but they were doing that. I mean, he was doing that to me. He was saying, scam, don't talk to me about it. It's too good to be true. It's another BitConnect, whatever. And then like trying to play the blame game on me, like you're just chasing after a get rich quick scheme and all that. And I was like, okay, well, I'll let you follow my stakes. Like some of them, you can watch it on the Staker app if you want, or every now and then I would just say something about it. But then he came and talked to me about it. I don't know. There people like that. Give them time.
Those are not early adopters. That's not the mindset of an early adopter. That's not what the mindset of an early adopter is. All similar. We understand a product more intimately, and that's why we're all in, because we intimately understand a product that took us many, many man hours to sit down and really work through. Because it's just free time, right? You're not like hammering down a product. You're just watching videos over time, You're just
That's true.
You're moving through it. It takes 6 months. I've heard very smart men say, it took me about 6 months and X clicked. Like smart guys, like technical, computer, smart guys, because it's value. It has nothing to do with crypto. It has to do with what is value. What is value? That's what the whole thing is. Richard Hart is just exposing what value is and presenting a product that hits all those marks, literally, not theoretically, literally. He's making tokenomics to make a number go up.
Yep.
And it's just, he's just taking legacy finance and showing you the nuts and bolts and saying, this is how everything works, and I'm going to make this work better. Literally just the nuts and bolts.
And that's the utility. For the people that say there's no utility, that's the utility. That's the utility of HEX. It's real world finance and the true meaning of value put into a token on the blockchain.
Yeah,
That's
it's so true, man. Because people talk about parroting. Like when I talk to people about onboarding and HEX, and I talk to friends, even close people that I know and they trust me, that's something else about HEX and Pulsechain. This line of thought, when people say there are so many of these HEX people that sound like they're in some kind of cult, or they're just parroting whatever Richard Hart says, then I look at it from their point of view and I have to think to myself, I want someone to tell them, what if HEX is really this great? Like, what if Richard Hart is saying and teaching us this is really amazing technology, the tokenomics and stuff behind it? What if it's true? It is true. That's the bottom line. This is true. The things that he talks about, whether it's gold sucks, trading's going to get you wrecked, how to stop addiction of video games, and how to give a better apology. These things are all wonderful stuff to share with people. So, plus HEX is revolutionary. It really is worth that Nobel Prize that Richard talks about. When all of those things are verifiable, you can look on chain, look at all these things to be true. You don't have to take anybody's word for it. We don't have to parrot this info, but when you do, it does sound like we're in a cult, because when we share that knowledge with people, it inevitably sounds too good to be true because of how successful HEX is.
It's hard to change how you word the truth. And even if you
gotta use
similar words or similes, you still have the same message you're sending to everyone. So I get why they would say, oh, you're just parroting. But at the end of the day, facts are facts, and it's going to have the same message.
Again, the parody is this, the whole joke of it all is that he's just being honest about finance on a product. It's like he's just like he's finally like, oh wait, everyone in legacy finance like, I thought if they sold more iPhones the price went up, and he's just like, nope. And then everyone's like, okay, let's do crypto.
Nope.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, let's do crypto because that's what we all thought, because that's what they subconsciously probably didn't directly tell us, but they kind of let us know, like, company goes up, everything goes up. No, if Elon Musk sells 15% of his shares, price dumps heavy. Doesn't matter if there's a new electric motorcycle that does 360s and everyone flies in it. Number go way down. It doesn't matter if there's a brand new product that has more buys than anything. If Elon Musk is suicidal and he's like, let's fuck life up real quick. Whatever they have to do to drop funds, that's probably a process.
And the things he teaches, honestly, even if you don't buy into the whole scam thing and get caught up in that, it's so silly. Educated people who really take the time to learn this, they know right away it can't be a scam. It's too well done. And he doesn't have to do this. He doesn't have to spend countless hours. God only knows how many hours this dude puts into something that he doesn't need to do. He wants to make us wealthy and wiser and healthy. The things he teaches actually work, and they make us better people. it's powerful and it's really real. I want to convey that to people. So on the rare occasion that one product really is that shining black diamond on the hill, then you want to share that with people. And when you share that with people and you talk in the adjectives and the bombastic way that we do, it's hard to take that away. It's hard to suppress your feelings. Like how many lives this has changed. The potential this has is just nuts. So when you talk to people about this, it seems too good to be true. It seems scammy, and people.
Yeah, I've gone a little over the top sometimes.
I'm the same way, man. It's weird.
Bipolar and the fucking. I'm like, let me look up bipolar too. No, literally, I'm like, what's the difference between bipolar, 5 days of mania? I'm like, well, I've had 6 months of mania. Literally, I'm like, that's May 1st, first 5, mania for 63 days, like 200 days straight, But literally, so what I try to immediately, like when I onboard people, I try to get groups, right? So I'm very social. I am so social in person with intellectual people. I want to talk to them, and I want to know what they know now. Like, I see people, and they're like, I'm good on the computer. I ain't good on the computer. And I'm like, I want to talk to you now. Like, and I have skills too. Like, I have a lot of skills. Like, you want to know about testosterone or whatever? You want to know about something like that? Like, there are things that everyone knows intimately that you can use. And it just blows me away how many people want to work with me for NFT. I'm not doing anything like that. But, like, people are messaging me, sending me NFTs. You want to do this? You want to do that? Everyone's positive. It's all HEX related. I'm like, what is it? What is going on? Is this a whole like revolution? But when I tell people about HEX to dumb it down to start, because I usually do it in a group, I just talk about Bitcoin, 1 penny to 65K. Everyone look at the chart, pull it right up. I pull it right up in front of everyone. I always try to have somewhere where I can display it, whether it's just a computer and a few friends, or we're at an office and there's a screen. I'm like, let's look at this chart real quick. And then I look into hex.com and I pull up the BTC ETH chart. And then I pull up the BTC ETH HEX chart. And that's where I get started. I'm like, this is real. This has happened. Let's talk real. Let's talk real quick. 1 penny to 65K. Everyone say 65 million%. Okay, we're all in the same room. That, and then I center everyone. Like,
yep,
you're with me. Like, we're all together here. 65K. Everyone's up. That's easy to understand for anyone. Just chart. Look at it. 65,000%. Look at the HEX chart, and then why. Everyone starts saying why. Why HEX chart? Why HEX chart? You go straight into staking. And then I go to the hearts. And this is real rough, but I do the hearts test. Like, I don't do the hearts test. Some people taught me this stuff. But you do, like, is it decentralized? Is it staked?
I haven't heard that. What's the hearts test?
Is it immutable? And is it one other thing that I can't think of off the top of my head? And HEX is the only product that we can find so far that is not a copy of HEX that is doing those things. So, there is a test for this. There is a test for crypto, and it just, no one wants to talk about real crypto. Ain't no one.
No, they don't. I think that's why Richard rubs people the wrong way. Sometimes a lot of people come to me and go, well, I watched a couple of videos, and these guys seem like a jerk. And I always come back to, why do you put so much focus on just one snippet of what someone else showed you, or some scam guy showed you, like a little clip of 30-second of him telling you to suck my balls or something? That stuff is off-putting and it's unnecessary, but that doesn't mean that HEX doesn't work correctly and that the community behind this is really smart people. Talk about that for a second. The HEX community is, without a doubt, I don't care how you feel about HEX, if you're in this at any amount of time, the people that are in HEX, that are on Twitter and Telegram, or giving their time selflessly, they're so kind, so honest, and they're so super helpful. It's unlike anything in any other crypto. It's crazy. Do you guys have that same kind of reaction to like Telegram and the people you talk to?
Yep, it's a whole nother world. It feels like I'm in almost, because I've never experienced such a kind of open and honest community who's willing to just take you as you are and validate the value that you can provide to the community, and then they provide value back, and it's just this circle of never-ending value that I'm seeing in the community, and they're quickly becoming my closest friends, like the closest relationships I've ever had. It seems it's insane, but it's the best thing I've ever experienced so far in life.
People talk. There was a tweet on Twitter, I think it was just today, and it said, "What's the best community in crypto?" And my tweet back was, Honestly, this was serious. I didn't mean to be snarky or cheeky at all. I thought it was just known that the Hex community was the best community. Whether you're investing in Hex or you understand it or not, if you spend any time in Hex, these are people who are selfless, who give literally hours and hours every single day just to help people, to onboard them, to help them in security, to teach them about Hex. They get nothing in return. So it is a really genuine place. The Hex and Pulse community is full of the friendliest, like diehard people that I've ever been a part of. And I can't say how much I love this community. The onboarding, like I said, how selfless they are behind the scenes and Telegram channels and Twitter and DMs. It's so impressive. And it brings it back full circle to me. Like what stands out like recently? Agape and Motley Investor, OGs and Hex. They did this Hex NASCAR. Have you guys seen the NASCAR thing?
Yep. I actually made some stickers for the event with a guy named Schmiris on Twitter.
That.
He's at the Schmiris. And we sent those out. So I got those shipped out actually last night. I had them finished.
Okay.
So this morning I've been all stoked and pumped because the design is sick. The design is nothing like you've ever seen before. So this sticker is going to be, I don't know. I want to keep a few of these stickers because it feels like it's going to be part of
Is
this.
this on the car?
You gotta let me have some stickers. I need a sticker.
I'll hook you up.
Whole entire wall.
I'll hook you up too, man.
Yeah,
NASCAR
man.
memorabilia. This one's the shield wall, and then when I'm going to change my setup to here, and it's going to be the shield wall in all NASCAR. Everything that I told Motley I want one of everything on the NASCAR list. I said this is going to be my streaming room. Like I want it to be owed like the coolest stuff that happened over the years, because I promise you will see this room for a long time, well, unless I move. But you will see this.
And what else?
I'm excited about being in this community, and just like you were saying, everyone's pumped up. And I think that I've been realizing something about the intelligence of people in this community socially. It's kind of like what I always tell people about paid groups is, they made $1 million this year, but they've ruined their reputation for it. Matty, did you ruin your reputation for any money this year? Probably not, because Matty knows that his reputation lasts. When Pulsechain and all these things happen, and he would like to endeavor into products in the future, and just on your survival instinct alone, for a very smart man, or for the guys that I've found in this community, their social IQ is high enough where they can realize value giving is the only way. It's the only way to grow.
100%. 100%.
Hacking the game because he knows the only way for mass adoption is to do things morally correct, because it's true. That's why nothing is revolutionary like this anymore, because the morals crumble from the bottom. There's no foundation in anything, but all he has is foundation. He's been retired forever. He's learned about him. He sat there and played video games for 10 years, probably hated his life, but was having fun. The whole deal, the whole life thing. And he came to this place, he said, the only way for me to be great, just like I feel about myself, the only way for me to be great is if I give everyone everything for free. Because I love to do it. I want to do it because that's the only way things grow organically, is when everyone's in there for a purpose that's organic.
Mm-hmm. It's funny because even something like this, as simple as a Pulsechain podcast, I don't get paid a penny to do this. Nobody reached out to me and said, hey, Matt, I'm going to sponsor you or pay you something. I really genuinely want people to understand. I want you to learn about Pulsechain. I want you to learn about Hex. I want you to look into Richard Hart. He cares about the people in this community. He's proven that over and over and over. And like I said, he's rough sometimes when he talks to people, and especially old streams. The guy can hit some nerves with people. And you got to look past that, because
I kind of honestly love.
I know,
those
man. I love
ones,
it too, man. It's because we understand his heart. Where he's in the right spot, because he wants us to become successful. He wants us to become wealthy, and then pivot that into a lot of other things. I mentioned on an earlier podcast, I think it was our very first podcast, I mentioned the purpose of this podcast. Of course, obviously, it's being crypto and focused on crypto, most of the attention on Pulse and Pulsechain and Hex and stuff. But I also mentioned that very same first episode that I wanted to talk about health and fitness and nutrition, and to put that at the forefront of what we do here. It's fun to get rich and to think about that, like I'm getting wealthy off of crypto, but our health and how we feel is really the key in this. Without being healthy and learning how to eat right and get enough sleep and to have that wealth create something that isn't nearly as sweet unless you have both wealth and the health. So it's a good segue to you, Jim Rat. Like, I understand you're into fitness and being healthy and stuff. Do you have any like daily rituals or things that you do that we could kind of learn about as far as like our health and fitness side, nutrition?
You're muted.
As someone who's seen it all in the fitness industry, and I've done every experiment, I've done every non-experiment. Hey, everyone thinks that people that use steroids didn't do it naturally. I went harder than anyone I know naturally for years. Years. I was going hard. I didn't know about anything. I love to work out. I'm a spaz, And then, I started experimenting with that stuff. And then, so I saw the whole gamut. I saw what I could do naturally, and I saw what I could do unnaturally, and I saw somewhere in the middle. And, I just came to the conclusion that people are doing too much. When people decide to have that revolutionary day where they decide, you know what, I'm making a change today, it's too much. You need to implement these lifestyle changes slowly. And the first one and the most important one, it doesn't take a minute to do. Think about how important that is. It doesn't take a minute to do this. Don't eat. Stop eating so much. Stop. You're eating too much. Everywhere I go, people are eating too much. It's like just chill out.
Way
Your
too
body
much.
doesn't need to eat 3 things of croissants in the morning and then pita bread at night with a big thing of rice and chicken. Like, you're just eating too much. Right.
Don't forget about lunch.
I
and then snacks in
a
between.
Completely active lifestyle all the time I'm moving, and I don't eat until 5:30. And I don't waste a minute thinking about it because my body is trained to do it. It takes about a week, and your body trains to do it. Guess what? You have 2 more hours every single day.
So do you fast all of breakfast, all of lunch?
I'm so lean right now that my girl will make something for breakfast and I'll eat. I'm really lean right now. So it's like, but if I gain any weight, if I want to get on protocol, like I'll F up right now because I don't care because I'm really light. But when I'm going hard, summertime shirts off, there ain't no eating until 5.
Okay.
0% chance. And guess what? It's just a ritual. It's a habit, but it's a time-saving habit. That's where everyone gets, I'm like, I'm going to give you 2 hours and you're going to be ripped. That's a hack to me. That's a hack. Like, that's more of like entrepreneurial. I'm not saying your liver's going to think that.
Well, it seems too good to be true. Kind of like,
it might
HEX.
seem too good to be true to you, but like you tell most people not to eat till 3 and they're like, excuse me? And then but you start at 11, 12, 1, you move on. But it's catching on in this community, I'm telling you. I'm loving not catching on. People do it in this community. It's like, it's a natural thing that people do in this community. We all have a similar little ticker going on. And I'm not saying everyone directly. Everyone obviously has bad habits and good habits. But like, there's a lot of similar thinking. And it really is bizarre if you really, every time you run into someone, you're getting the same vibe. A normal guy. You're like, oh, wow, you want to help me? I'm going to help you. Like, maybe we're just good people. Like,
it's funny because, like you talk about the family of HEX specifically, this whole ecosystem that Richard Hart has built with HEX and Pulsechain, that I don't get any shady vibes from anybody that I speak to, especially OGs. Maybe people that's new you haven't talked to before, but they all learn from the OGs, the YouTube channels, the Twitters, the people they follow, and you really see that this is something different. And I hate that it sounds cliche, and like we're talking about how you onboard someone without sounding cheesy or without sounding like it's too good to be true with 38% APY or the million X or whatever. These things are really hard to quantify with people. That you talk to these guys, they're real people because we're so preconditioned to this guy's going to scam me. This guy's only in it to show me about this one project or this one trading thing that I'm going to get wrecked in. Or once the bag goes up, he sells and he goes on to the other thing. Lots of guys on YouTube do that. They follow a bunch of other stuff. They invest a little bit. They get sponsored by these people, cryptos and exchanges and stuff. They have an incentive for the price to go up. And they know that these guys are educated. They know that a lot of these cryptos are trash. But once it goes up, they're out and they move on to the next one. It's so genuine. When I look at Richard Hart, he talks about, I don't put ads on my YouTube. And he's got other cryptos. And people think that he's going to dump his HEX or his Pulse. And I look at that like the guy is uber wealthy now. He's a top 1% of people, a true billionaire. When you couple that with someone who truly understands finance, crypto, the banking system, marketing, we're super lucky to have this unicorn, a real unicorn, and Richard Hart, the founder, who is out there showing his face, and you know who he is and what he stands for and his track record and his history. It's the most unique thing in crypto. I don't know who is doing this. Where is Satoshi? Where is Vitalik talking on YouTube videos and answering questions and doing live streams, and you really understand this person?
Live meetups.
You're right. Hundreds of hours of video and live meetups and stuff, answering questions and just destroying people online, ending careers of people. It's so refreshing. So even if you can't look past the bombastic look or the watches in the background or the Louis Vuitton stuff, look at the substance of what he tells each other, and like not gambling and not trading and all the things we talked about earlier. These are really important life-changing things. So if you can couple that with a great founder, a great cryptocurrency, a great community, health and fitness, and put those things in one capsule and think, this community really cares about me and it's real. So what if one thing is actually real in crypto and HEX is that thing? So it's just kind of beautiful to think of, we really have that in HEX. And it's hard to tell that to people without sounding cheesy or like you're in this cult. But what if it's really true?
Yep. That's what got me. Like, what if this is going to work? I remember getting burned by BitConnect.
Yep.
But I didn't lose the desire to keep searching and to keep trying. So when I heard about HEX, I learned about it a little bit. Okay, I'm going to put $1,000 in or whatever it was at the time, right? I was willing to lose that even if it was another rug pull or another scam, because you know what? It's worth searching and continuing to search until you find the right stuff, until you do the right things and find that secret sauce or whatever it is. But you know what was funny? As soon as I got into, I got my stake in, my mind switched gears a little bit. And I started researching even more, went deeper down that rabbit hole of the game theory, of the white paper, of whales, and all the streams that the community has been doing since the beginning. And then everything else clicked. And, it was worth the little bit of risk at the front end. And that's what I try to tell people who may be a little bit, iffy on it, but to each his own. And you got to kind of have to gauge your onboards according to their personality and talk to them in a way they're going to understand it. So you have to get to know them a little bit, spend some time talking and chatting, and see where their mind's at on certain things.
I want to teach them. Dude,
that's a good idea.
Really
no, that's a great idea, man.
A lot of people that you have to come at things in a different light. Like every chart, you could have
read
every
the room.
chart in the room next to me, and every HEX resource in a dork that knows everything about HEX, and you could take everything out of this room, and I'd outbid him 10 times out of 10. 100, and I know it. I wouldn't have to ask. The guy would just walk over here because my vibe would be better. And it's just something you develop from selling things. It has nothing to do with me as I'm not some voodoo master. I sell things all day long. I just sell over and over, new people, until it becomes a reflex. And then you inject the steroids, which is hex.com. You're shilling people to hex.com. I'm not shilling the stuff I'm doing at work. I'm shilling you the greatest financial asset that's ever existed. So you're talking about a crackhead salesman, best financial product ever existed, and I'm not selling anything.
It's funny. It's like you're telling people about this. It genuinely, people who see this for the first time, it genuinely isn't about pumping the price of HEX, telling you about something that I may not believe in, and I'm only pumping it to get HEX to 50 cents or $1 that I can get out. It really is not that way. HEX is a proven product that's immutable. It's on the blockchain. It's going nowhere. It has no admin keys. 100% uptime. People miss that aspect of it. 100% uptime for 2 years plus. It's crazy. It's created something that is unmatched. Richard Hart talks about this being Nobel Prize worthy. And it's true. We are so gatekept and so hidden that I have true friends that know me personally that have never heard about HEX. They don't understand it. They've heard of crypto, through stuff, different websites and stuff, or Bitcoin or Coinbase or Robinhood or whatever. They don't understand it's thousands of cryptos, not to mention just HEX. When HEX really does become mainstream and it's proven itself, imagine 4 to 5 years. We have 5-year stakes ending, and HEX is $2 or $3, and Pulsechain is rolling, and Pulse X and all the ecosystem that's on Pulsechain, and people are transacting for like less than a penny. This is going to hit home in a really serious way, and all the people who have called HEX a scam and not been favorable to Richard Hart, they're going to look at this as a track record of being wrong over and over and over. It's one person, one community, and that's HEX and Pulsechain that are going to stand the test of time. We're going to age really, really well with all of the things we have going. It's super refreshing to be in this so early. And people say it's 2 years, I can't get into this. HEX is 21 cents. When HEX is $3 or $4, 21 cents is going to seem like nothing. So it's almost a magical time, this euphoria around everything that's great in crypto. The founder, the community, the NASCAR stuff, the eyeballs on it, the Pulse chain. These things are going to come to a head in about a month, 2 months, 3 months. By the summertime, man, Pulsechain is going to be stupid. People are going to be going nuts, and really understanding this is going to be something that's going to be fun.
Dude, we are all going to get so dumb rich. It's going to be disgusting. And I just got robbed blind. I don't even care. It's just like, I mean, because I'm a very goal-oriented person. I think about the future, so I think I'm going to work hard for 3 more years. Like, that's how I kind of, in my head, I'm like, I'm just going to grind it out for 3 more years. I could take my whole bag to zero, and in 3 more years, I'd be fine. Probably. I mean, if I just did $1,000 every 2 weeks, whatever it is, I would make it happen quick. And it's like this resource has unlocked my brain. It has nothing to do with the money. It's like the resource has unlocked my potential. It's like, finally, I found something that makes sense to me, something that someone created that has meaning behind it. It's just an incredible thing, and we're all on this together, and talking to guys like you lights me up. I swear to God, there's nothing I like more than having this chat.
I'm glad, man. This is what the Pulsechain Podcast is all about. I want people to come here and see real people, not worrying about some random cryptid possibly could go somewhere, and then you don't necessarily care about.
Ain't no robot.
Life. When we're off camera, when we're talking to people in DMs and on Twitter and Telegram, this is real. We talk to each other as friends. There's no front. There's no game we play. We're not, got some kind of wall up. We're all really good friends, and it's something super rare, not only in life, but especially in the crypto, this really great community. Like, we're going to meet up in Vegas in a couple of weeks. I'm going to be there. I can't wait to shake people's hands, give people big bear hugs, because we care about each other. I really care about people's success and what they invest in. And if your first introduction to crypto is HEX or Pulsechain and one of us in this community, that is your Willy Wonka golden ticket, because this is a really great group of people who honestly care about you. I find it hard to believe, most people do, but it is true. It's one of those enigmas in life that is true. This community cares about you and wants you to be successful. So I guess in closing, to button this up, how can we find you guys, like on social media, and like what's your place in the HEX? I know, Jim Rat, you were talking about making your own channel soon.
Yeah, so I'm just
that
ironing out, learning. I'm a perfectionist in a way, so it's hard for me to get started because I see all this great content, but I know I just have to get out there, and I have videos I'm editing already. I just have to learn how to edit them as good as everyone else so that they can be just as good as I start.
Hey, bare minimum.
Yeah, right.
Or minimum viable.
MVP. They're going to be crap, but anyway. So I'm doing, I'm going hard on I've dedicated my mind and everything. I bought all the stuff. I'm going in, I'm coming into YouTube and I'm sticking around, baby. There's no doubt about it in my mind. I'm going to be here right time next year. And I am so excited. Jim Rat Crypto is my handle, just a random name that I made up a long time ago for Xbox or whatever. And that's my handle. That's what I go by. That's my tag. I'm gonna have an anime series attached to it that I got my buddy working. My buddy has this. Here, let me split out a couple of just funny, cool things about HEX that I know. So my buddy he's real good into anime. I onboarded him. Sick anime, just disgustingly amazing. He's doing this series with different YouTubers and their different weapons, and it's this coolest thing. And he's thinking about making NFTs and stuff. And I'm just cheering him on, kind of that stuff. But I'm making YouTube content, and I'm on Twitter all day long answering questions. And when I'm not on those two things, I'm on the ground hunting, baby, hunting. And I went on a camera webcam site, and to make videos. I was trying to create content, so I went on one of those Omegle campsites, and I onboarded like 10 people in 5 hours.
Really?
5 hours, yeah. And I was going to make a video, but I didn't know how to edit. Is that a good video idea?
It's a great video idea.
So
do it.
Yes.
Huge, man.
So I start like this, and I'm like, wait. I just want to do it. Every time I go like this, and then when they like about to like sit down, I'm like, hold on one sec. And then I start looking at this. I go, have you guys seen any of these before? And they all say no. And then I'm like, guys, I kind of usually tell them I recently retired just to get a quick spurt of energy out of them. But I say I'm a young man, I'm retired, I follow my gym or whatever I say, and then like I got people to write every YouTuber down, every resource down. I'm like, guys, look at the chart, look at everything. And like, I have these guys all on my Twitter DMs. I got 10 guys, like 16 to 25 that are DMing me from who knows fuck where because I was on this webcam. I'm like, guys, this is God, and I've came to save you. I literally say that. I'm trying to make funny content too. So
all people are going to thank you.
Great,
like,
man.
5 years from now, 10 years. Imagine telling someone. I got friends of mine that just did a 5-5-5-5. That's all they did. They just did $2,000 like 2 years ago when HEX was pre-penny stuff. They did 1 5-5-5, a couple $100. They got like 1 million HEX, 2 million HEX, sometimes 4 million HEX, and they only did the 5-5-5. And I tell them, hey man, have you checked your stakes out? They're like, no, man, I forgot about that. And it's so I can't wait for 15 years from now to tell them. Remember that crypto I told you about HEX? Look at your 5-5-5 because the accumulation of HEX that you're getting over a 15-year period is so stupid. It's almost hard to tell people about that. But how do we find you, Luthor, on social media and stuff?
So I am on Twitter at Luthor_Hex. And then I'm also on the Pulsechain Network. We're working with Joker. He switched his old channel, over to this new network we're building. So it's also kind of a call to action, if you don't mind, for anybody watching or listening that's in the community. They don't really have a network or a value stream or team of people or in the community to help them. That's what we're doing. We're taking new guys in. We're taking the next generation of streamers and content creators, and we are gathering them under one house, kind of like Discourse Syndicate has done. But we're going to do it a little bit differently. We're going to make it a bit more entertaining. We're going to engage the younger generations a little bit more. We're going to take it away kind of from the panel aspect side of things and try to attack it from different angles. And so we're just opening up that content and that value stream, and we're making it wider so that we can reach more people.
I have to get links from you guys. I want to get both of your links to actually see like what you're doing on social media, Twitter and Telegram, and just some things. I'll put that in the link in this description of this video right here. This will be a podcast format, but it'll also be on YouTube. So if someone wants to see the video and the audio, they can do it. Yep. And I'll put links in the description for all that stuff too. So I really appreciate you guys coming on here. This means the world to me. This is something that I want to create content. I want to tell people about Pulse, about this community, about the advantage you have right now. Early 2022, Pulsechain is not even launched yet. We're not even live. You have a chance to get on a ground floor layer one cryptocurrency that's going to probably in the first year become the best blockchain in all of crypto. So if you're listening to this right now and it's still early and you're not 2-3 years listening to this, this is something special in your life. Take the time to reach out to people like Jim Rat and Luthor, myself. You can find us everywhere. I'll put a bunch of links in the description of this video. Follow us and keep in touch with us on podcast and on Twitter. I care about you guys, and I will catch y'all next week on the B side.